The gym. You either love it or you hate it. Whether you despise it or not, you guys are going to gain some significant knowledge out of this video, and you're also going to hear about some unknown things that you guys may never have heard of at the gym. Also, this video is a part 2 following my original The Gym Iceberg Explained video. So, if you guys want to check that one out, there's going to be a card right now, and it'll be available for you guys. So this is essentially just going to be a continuation of that last video. So be sure to watch till the end of the video, guys, because you do not want to miss up on this information that, quite frankly, I'm kind of astonished by. So we got a nice little treat for you guys. Let's get right into it. Cardio. Cardio is defined as any type of exercise that gets your heart rate up and keeps it up for a long period of time. So you guys can think of running, using the treadmill, cycling, swimming, etc. The World Health Organization actually recommends that whatever type of cardio exercise you choose to do, you should at least try to do it for 10 minutes at a time to reap the most benefits from it. Soreness. This refers to the sore feeling you have after a long workout. This is also called DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness, and it's the result of damage to the muscle fibers. Now you guys are probably hearing that and saying, damage? Hold on. But damage is actually how you build your muscles, believe it or not. And the muscle soreness occurs usually after 24 to 72 hours of physical activity. And let me tell you guys, it is a pain in the ass sometimes. But you probably know that already. Chicken legs. Probably about 50% of the audience has them, myself included. So chicken legs basically refers to somebody who doesn't hit legs at the gym. You'll see a lot of people with great physiques that honestly, their legs just make it look a little off balance because, you know, you don't have any balance on your body. It's gonna look a little iffy. So this is essentially people who do no leg days. They only train their upper body and they just keep beefing it up. And honestly, it's something that I have to try to switch up because I could see the chicken legs on me. Roids. This is referring to steroids essentially, which are synthetic substances similar to the male sex hormone testosterone. And they provide a ton of benefits, but also negatives. People use them to boost muscle mass, performance, and endurance, etc. However, there's a large amount of negatives that they give you: heart problems, fluid retention, difficulty sleeping, irritability, and skin changes, which is why you'll notice a lot of people on PEDs or steroids that have really bad acne. This is because their body's going through a substantial amount of hormonal changes. Abs. Abs refer to your abdominal muscles, which are located between the ribs and the pelvis in front of the body. It's probably one of the most aesthetic parts of the body that a lot of people end up noticing, and it's estimated that around 6 to 12% of the general amount population has a visible pack of abs. However, there's some people with godlike genes that just possess abs out of nowhere, bro. Like, how do you do this, bro? Like, sugar is bad. So this basically refers to just sugar being bad in general, which is general common knowledge. When you eat or drink too much sugar, the extra insulin in your bloodstream can affect your arteries all over your body, which in turn will cause the walls to get inflamed, grow thicker than normal, and this will essentially stress out your heart and damage it over time, which is why you see a lot of athletes and gym goers trying to cut out sugar. It also increases inflammation, so if you guys want to cut out sugar from your diet, it's probably not the worst idea. I'm addicted. Protein. Protein refers to a nutrient that helps your body grow and repair cells. And protein is found in a wide variety of foods. It's also important that you get enough protein in your diet every day. Some people suggest 1 gram per pound of body weight, that is. And there's always a misconception about how much protein you really need. It just varies on your weight, gender, age, and health. It's not really any set number. There's really high protein foods such as eggs, tree nuts, meats, etc. that will get your body right, which is especially needed after a workout because your muscles need to be repaired. No pain, no gain. It's a saying used amongst gym goers that basically means it's necessary to suffer or work hard in order to succeed or make progress and or gains. Basically, without putting in the work and feeling that pain, you're not gonna make any gains, which I think it's a good quote. I think it makes you push past failure, which is always good in the gym. Chicken, broccoli, and rice. The most average gym combo, but The reason why a lot of gym goers eat this is because it will bulk you up, and the high amount of protein from the chicken will help rebuild the damaged muscles. It's overall just a great post-workout meal. So that was tier 1 of the iceberg. Now we're going down to tier 2, sleep. Sleep allows your muscle tissue to recover between workouts. Not getting enough sleep can lead to being less physically active during the day and reduced muscle strength during workouts. It's also just really bad on the mind, as you'll be more sluggish. Pump. Pump in the gym refers to a temporary increase in muscle mass after intense workout. You'll notice this in many gym goers, as some people have pumps that literally change their body. It's crazy. Cocaine, pre-workout, is a supplement that basically boosts your energy levels and improves strength and performance in the gym. You take it before going to the gym and you'll basically be jumping up and down going crazy. Like, I kid you not, you guys will feel like you can actually carry a bridge. Until the inevitable downfall comes down and that bridge falls back on you, as much like an energy drink, there is a downfall. Bulking. It's a phase in bodybuilding that involves consuming excess calories to build muscle. People basically tend to consume additional protein and carbohydrates in this phase, and afterward, a person typically enters a cutting phase to burn the excess fat that builds up. I'm currently on a bulk, and this shit is so hard, bro. Please give me advice, bro. Calories. They are basically a measure of energy, and essentially, the more you eat, the more you gain weight. So, high calorie equal good, in very simple terms, unless you're cutting, which in turn, that's not good. Fake natties. Funny enough, as I was typing fake natties to do a little bit of research on this, I almost typed Liver King, bro. Which can actually segue us into Liver King, one of those most prominently known fake natties that tried to justify it like he stood by this so heavy, man. So a fake natty is basically someone who claims to be natural, however, they are in fact using steroids and or PEDs, which gives them a better appearance, but it also screws over everybody else, because then people are just going to think that that's achievable naturally when usually it's not. So yeah, real scumbags. Just be honest if you're on roids or not, man. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day if you're honest. Calisthenics, one of my favorites. So calisthenics are essentially exercises that don't rely on anything but body weight. It allows for the development of strength, endurance, flexibility, and coordination. And guys, I have to say, people who do calisthenics are pretty built. For instance, there's this one YouTuber called Bray that does calisthenics, and just look at his physique, man. The dude looks good. So calisthenics is really good. It's a form of strength training that will just push you to the next limit of your body. Now, will it get you better than somebody who benches or uses machine at the gym? It honestly really depends on who works for it harder and genetics, basically. Progressive overload. It's the act of gradually boosting the intensity of your workouts. And over time, it'll increase muscle hypertrophy. So in simpler terms, when, let's say you start out at a 20-pound dumbbell, the next week you want to try to be at 25. That way you can increase in muscle size and just really break those muscles apart. Now we are at the gym bros section. Compound and isolation exercises. So an exercise that includes multiple joint movements would be considered a compound exercise, while a exercise with a single joint movement would be classified as a isolation exercise. So compound exercises would basically be bench press, squat, lunges, deadlifts, pull-ups, push-ups, dips, etc. Whereas some isolation exercises would be leg extension, leg curl, dumbbell lateral raise, pull-ups too, calf raises, dumbbell raises, and bicep curls. Supersets. So the concept of a superset is basically performing 2 exercises back to back followed by a short rest. And it basically doubles the amount of work you're doing whilst keeping the recovery periods the same as when they're completing a individual exercise. So an example of this can be 10 push-ups focusing on your chest and shoulder muscles, and then immediately after that doing a set of pull-ups focusing on your back and bicep muscles. And there's tons of benefits to this. It's gonna allow you to maximize your time at the gym, and it's just really gonna help you guys build your muscles easier. Failure. So, training till failure is repeating an exercise, such as the bench press for instance, to the point of muscle failure. Now, I highly advise that you guys have a partner next to you if you're doing this on the bench press or anything that will potentially fall on you. But there is really good benefits to this. So failure will fully activate your muscles and it'll lead to more muscle growth because the body has to adapt to the stress that you're putting on the muscle fibers, which in turn will make them come back stronger. Mind-muscle connection. Mind-muscle connection basically means to bring your attention to your body as you move. So almost feeling the action that you're doing within your body. Like personally for me, something I like to do is just imagine how the muscle looks in my mind and essentially feel every sort of fiber move. And from there, you really feel the muscle engaging and you get a better understanding of how it feels when that muscle is engaging. Body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is a little bit of a sad one. The definition of it by Google is it's a mental health condition in which you can't stop thinking about your flaws or defects in your body, especially if you go to the gym, because you're always going to be comparing yourself to others, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally. And the sad part about all this is that sometimes it almost makes people go on PEDs or steroids just because they think that they could look better or they see somebody else that looks better than them, when ultimately it all depends on genetics and how hard you work in the gym. So remember guys, never really look at yourself in a bad light. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to the past self that you used to be. Think back at your first day in the gym and really say to yourself, man, I really made some progress from there, rather than looking at somebody and going, man, they have such a better body than me, because I guarantee you that same person is in the same shoes as you. Genetics. So genetics is basically the study of genes and heredity. Heredity is the passing of genes and genetic information traits such as eye color and, maybe your height from your parents to the offspring. So this is really what determines how you will potentially, how tall you would be, how muscular you'll be. There's a lot of factors that play into genetics. Some people have amazing genetics, whereas some people have, let's just not talk about that. Now we are in the gym rat section of the iceberg. This is where things get a little bit more interesting. Caffeine addiction. This basically refers to the excessive and harmful use of caffeine over a period of time, which for the gym, many people take pre-workouts and that has a large amount of caffeine, which almost makes you have a dependency on it and you'll be using it more and more every day at the gym, which it's gonna make you really dependent on it. Like for instance, I drink a cup of coffee every morning and I just can't go without one. We all be having caffeine dependencies, man, it's pain. A lot of misinformation. This refers to the amount of misinformation that's generally spread throughout the gym community. You have people correcting other people on specific exercises or what they're doing, and majority of the time these people don't even know what they're talking about. Or they tell you this one hidden exercise that's really gonna make you have improvement at the gym, when in reality, it's not gonna be as effective or even effective at all. So always make sure to put in your own research in what you're doing for your body and try to do what works for you rather than listen to somebody else all the time. RPE. So RPE is essentially a way of measuring your physical activity intensity level. And it starts off from 1, basically very light activity, and goes all the way to 10, which is max effort activity. And a 1 is gonna be something like you're sleeping, watching TV, etc. And a 10 is gonna be like it feels impossible to keep going and you're completely out of breath. It's basically a scale of how you feel performance-wise, which I find pretty interesting because I've never heard of this chart, but it's pretty cool. Neck training. Neck training is super underrated. It's basically implementing exercises to improve the strength, stability, and range of motion in your neck. And a ton of people overlook this. And I highly recommend training neck because it's gonna give you guys more of a masculine appearance. Like, look at this dude, man. Aesthetics does not always equal health. Meaning, you will basically be unhealthy sometimes even though you look super good and aesthetic. For instance, you can see this in individuals who have 5% body fat or less. You'll basically feel a lot weaker and your metabolism will be all disordered. Memory problems, inability to concentrate, these are all factors that could possibly happen if you decrease your body fat. So you see all these 5% body fat influencers, and you know, they look good, but do they feel good? Most likely not. Now we're at the pre-workout addict section of the iceberg. Things are a little more obscure over here. Periodization. It's the planned manipulation of training variables in order to maximize training adaptations and to prevent the onset of overtraining. In simpler terms, it's basically a planning technique used by athletes to prevent overtraining through structure and specificity. Now we're on to the PED abuser section. I'm looking at you guys. Some of you guys in here are on hard juice, bro. I'm sure there's got to be at least 5 people who watch this video that are on steroids, most likely. Which, hey, nothing wrong with that. Just stay safe, guys. Uranium calories. I covered this in one of my last icebergs, but basically this refers to the amount of calories that is in uranium. And there are roughly 20 million calories in a gram of uranium, which means this is the ultimate bulk. Amphetamines. Amphetamines are essentially a synthetic addictive mood-altering drug, and they're used illegally as a stimulant sometimes. And what this is referring to is essentially how some pre-workouts in the past had amphetamine-like substances in their pre-workout, which is very crazy. Like, the people off that probably finished their workout and went back home, and they still probably couldn't even go to sleep or anything, because that's just absurd. But to be fair, C4 Energy pre-workout kind of has you feeling the same way. Let's be real, guys. That tingling sensation, it's a little weird, man. Now we reached the end. So, bro, you've gone too far arc of this iceberg. And yeah, sorry there's not as much as the last video. It's just as the icebergs go deeper, there's really hard things to find about the gym. But let's go forward with this. Extra testicles transplant. And I was talking about this in the last iceberg that I did. This is basically referring to the idea of having an extra testicle transplanted into you to produce more testosterone. I haven't heard of anybody ever doing that ever, so I don't think it's a real thing, but who knows, guys. New limbs. Now, there's a section of this iceberg for some reason that says new limbs. Some people like to add in random stuff to icebergs, but we can just take a guess here and assume that maybe people transplant new limbs into their body. I don't think anyone's ever gone that far, but it's entirely possible. I mean, there's people who literally inject oil into their muscles, so I wouldn't even be surprised. Organs. So this basically refers to a supposed sexual energy or life force distributed throughout the universe that can be collected and or stored in an orgone box. And it's basically a factor in health of the theories by Wilhelm Reich. I believe I butchered that, but that's his name. And I'm not sure why this is on the iceberg. It may have something to do with the gym or not. I tried to do some research on it, but ultimately it doesn't really make sense for the gym. But that essentially wraps up our entire iceberg. This has been the part 2 of the Gym Iceberg Explained. I really apologize about the subjects that were at the bottom. You know, I really tried my best to look in depth about these, but some of them ultimately reap no, value. Sometimes the people on Reddit that make these icebergs just add in things for shits and giggles, and I ultimately just think that that was what it was. However, if you found this video interesting, I highly recommend that you watch the first video if you have not just yet, or just like the video and comment and tell me what you think. I really like this format of video. Icebergs have always been fun to create, and the last one got relatively good views, so I'm ultimately willing to make more as well. If you guys have any iceberg ideas you want me to cover, I'll be more than glad to do them. Just shoot me a comment down below and I'll get to it. And yeah, this has been the Gym Iceberg Explained Part 2. And I will see you guys real soon. Take it easy.